Hi, consultants. This is Kevin here with some tech information for you. First of all, this is going to be all about the use of Google Forms. If you're already familiar with Google Forms, you can simply hit the stop button and move on to booking appointments or whatever you're working on. If you're not familiar with Google Forms, this is going to be really quick. I'm going to walk you through it. It's very, very easy to do. I used Google Forms for years and never occurred to me that it could be useful in Mary Kay in general in the pre-profiling portion of your business in particular. So I'm just going to walk you through the few steps that are required for you to be able to set up a Google form that you can send to potential customers, send to a hostess that she can forward to her guests. So we'll go ahead and walk through it. All that's required is that you have a Google account. Many of you already have Gmail accounts, so you're already set up on Google. If not, you just need to create a Google account. When you do that, I'm just on the home screen for Google. So I'm going to come over here to my app menu, Google Apps. Click there, and I'm going to select Drive. Google Forms are managed through the Google Drive function. That takes me to Google Drive, and you'll see some things that I already have stored in this folder in Google Drive. And then over to the left, you'll see the button that says New. Going to click on New. It's going to give me a drop down. I'm going to go to More, and that's where you're going to find Google Forms. So just click on Google Forms, and it begins with an untitled form. You can do these steps in any order that you want to. For some strange reason, I tend to go ahead and put my questions in first, and then I go back and play with the look of it. So it's going to open up with one untitled question. I can give that a title. So in particular, we've been talking about using this for pre-profiling. So obviously, you're going to want the name of whoever is going to be responding to you. So I'm going to make that my first question. Google recognizes, I don't know if you've noticed the screen change, the default for a type of question is either a checkbox or a multiple choice. As soon as I put in the word name, Google's smart enough to know that they're going to fill that it's not going to be multiple choice. They're going to fill in their name. So over here, you'll see that it shows short answer. You can select the type of question. Short answer, paragraph. If they're going to be typing in more than, a sentence or two, then paragraph would be the right choice. Multiple choice, check boxes, drop down. There are all kinds of types of questions. Yours is going to be pretty straightforward. So that's going to be my first question. I'm simply going to ask for their name. If you click anywhere in there, you'll see this screen. Little trash can down here is the delete button. So if you decided you wanted to get rid of this question, you could do that. But you can also decide whether you want the questions to be required or not. They will not be able to move through the form without answering the question. I think giving their name has to be a requirement, so I'm just going to click that, and now that's a required question. To go to my next question, I'll come over to the right, click on the plus sign, add question. You're probably going to want to collect their phone number. So I'm just going to put in phone. Again, Google recognizes that, and it knows to just do short answer. I'm also going to make that a requirement. So there's question number 2. Now, if you're using this for pre-profiling, you can make it as short or as long as you want to. I think short is better. So I'm going to do this based on the beauty experience that we're currently working on. The first part of the beauty experience, the guests at the beauty experience can choose any 2 out of 4 options. So I'm going to type that as the question. Choose any 2 of the following treatments. And again, Google recognizes that they can choose more than one. So it's going to treat this as a checkbox. They can check more than one option rather than simply doing a multiple choice. So I'll go here to where it says option 1, and we'll put in satin lips. You can add some descriptive information if you want to. I'm trying to keep the video short, so I'm just going to add that as one of the topics. Then I'm going to add another option here. We'll go satin lips. What are the other options? The oil-free eye makeup remover. and I could continue on with multiples there. My third option, I'm going to list the soothing eye gel. Oops, typo there. I'm just going to back out of that, come back up to previous one. So I'm just going to put in those three options, and then whoever is responding to this, they can select any two out of those three. Again, for this, I think you're going to want this one to be required. You're going to want to make sure you get an answer there. So I'm going to check on that one as being required. I'm going to create my next question. This is for the refined portion of the beauty experience, where they can select between the charcoal mask, the gel mask, or the facial peel. So I'm going to say choose one of the following. Option one will be the charcoal mask. Again, you can put as much information in here as you want to. Next option, gel mask. Third option is the facial peel. Notice again that Google is smart enough to recognize that this is going to be multiple choice. They can only choose one of these. They can't do a charcoal mask and a facial peel, so it knows to do that. I'm going to make this one required again, and I could keep going. You could put in everything that's on the customer profile if you wanted to, get their skin tone and whether they're sensitive to things or not, get their eye color, whatever you want to. After this, I would suggest that you actually add at least one more question to this. If you're booking beauty experiences with more than one hostess, so Susie and Jane are both sending this out to people that are coming to their beauty experiences, and you get responses, you don't know who is coming to which appointment. So you may want to add something like this: name of the fabulous friend who invited you. You could word this however you wanted to, but my point is that you want to be able to keep track of who's coming to which appointment. I point out to you, you don't have to do anything to save it. If you've ever worked with Google Docs, it's just constantly saving what you're doing. So up here towards the upper left, it says all changes saved in Drive. So now you can get on to making this look prettier. So let's title the form. I'm going to call it the Mary Kay Beauty Experience. I can put in a description, so you could just type anything that you want to. Please complete this form to enhance your experience. Whatever you want to do there. Then you can change the overall look of it. You see this has a purple bar at the top and sort of a lavender background. You can go up here to the color palette, and I could change that to blues if I wanted to. Or if you want to get fancy, you can come down here and actually upload your own image or use one of Google's. I didn't find anything in here. I mean, a rock and roll guitar and a bunch of jelly beans or whatever these are, that doesn't look like anything. There's somebody shooting hoops that you want as a background on a beauty experience. So we've created a Dropbox folder that has several graphics in it. I'm actually going to use one of those. So I'm going to select a photo from our computer. I'm going to go to the beauty experience. And there's a JPEG file in there called Beauty Experience Background. So I'm going to upload that picture. Again, you can use any picture you want to. And then if you've done this sort of thing like in Facebook or whatever, it gives you the option of being able to crop some portion of this. So what I did when I created the form that I did for Karen last night is to just come up here and crop out the top part of that. And then we'll click Select. And magically, that now shows up as my top border. And somehow or another, Google was smart enough to pick up some of the colors in there. And so now my background is more of a pink instead of a lavender. So that's one of the other things you can do. You don't have to. It's just something you can do to make it a little bit prettier. The last thing that you're definitely going to want to do is to set this up so that you get notified whenever somebody responds to it so that you can see their answers. So I'm going to come up here to the little three dots, the more, and I'm going to come down here and select add-ons. I could have gotten to it another way. There are all kinds of different ways you can do this. This is going to give me some options here, one of which is form notifications. So I'm going to select form notifications. I'm going to click on manage and tell it to use this add-on in this document. So I'm just going to select that, and I can close that box. The next thing I'm going to need to do is to configure that add-on. Just selecting it doesn't make it actually work. So I'm going to come here to the add-ons now, the little puzzle piece. I've selected form notifications, so it knows that I've added that onto this form. So I'm going to click form notifications and then configure. And you'll see that I get a box over here on the right. It says notify me. I want to check that. And you can enter any email address that you want to. This is set up with our unit email address, but I could just simply go in here and select that and type any other email address that I wanted to send this to. The default is for it to collect 10 responses and then let you know. You're probably going to want it more frequently than that, so you can drop that down to send notification after every one response. You can decide whether you want to let the respondents, the people who fill out the form, whether you want to notify them or not. Personally, I don't know that you need to, but you could always check this box if you wanted to. And then it collects their email and all that sort of stuff, but you probably already put that in the form. The subject line of the email that would go to them says, thank you for filling out our form. Thank you for responding to our form. I'm going to uncheck that. It's more important that you get the information. I'm going to click on save. It says that it has saved my settings. I can close that. I'm done. The next piece of this is to be able to actually send it to someone. Big old button up here that says send. Several ways that you can send it. You can send it via email. See the little email symbol here. You can put in email addresses and it will automatically put this in the subject line with a little message saying I've invited you to fill out a form. You can have the form embedded inside of the email so that all they have to do is look at the email and go from there. Not everyone communicates the same way. If you have a hostess that you know really does pay attention to her email, this may be the way to do it. If she's someone who's only texting and Facebook messaging and whatever, email may not be the best way to go. So the other option is to send a link. So I'm going to click on the link symbol here, and it gives me a link. Big, long alphabet soup full of all kinds of numbers and letters here. I've never been a big fan with that, so you can actually use what's called a short URL. Click on that, it shortens it. Google even tells you you can press Control-C to copy. By the way, I should have said this earlier. I'm working on a PC that's running Windows 10. So for you Mac users out there, I don't have a clue as to how to do this. It should be very, very similar. Or you can simply click on where it says copy here, and it will copy that. You could then, if you're doing this on a mobile device, once you've copied it, it goes to what's called your clipboard. You can then send that to somebody. I have found the easiest thing to do here is to just send myself an email. So coming back up here, I can just send this email to myself. I pull it up on my phone. I can get the link. I can save the link to my phone. And I may add that onto this tutorial and do some screen sharing from my cell phone to show you how to do that. And then you have that link available to you to send to your hostess. She can then forward that on to the guests. Once guests start responding, then you'll receive email notifications saying someone has filled out your Mary Kay Beauty Experience form. You can then go and look at all of that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let me cancel out of here. And I'm going to go back to my Google Drive home screen. and show you, here is the form that I did for Karen yesterday and that she used and sent it out to a few of you as a test. So I'm just going to click on that and open up this form. Once people have started responding, then the screen's going to look just a little bit different. You can see up here at the top that it says questions and responses, and it just updated itself and shows that 5 people have responded to this. So I'm going to click on responses. There are 2 ways to look at responses. I can look at a summary that lists everyone who's done it, or I can look at each individual response. So I have 5 people, Karen, Susie, Heather, Ashley, and Marcy, that all responded to this. Their phone numbers, collected email addresses, and this just gives me a summary total. So when you're packing for your almost said party, when you're packing for your beauty experience, you know that you need to take at least enough Mint Bliss energizing treatments for at least 4 people, enough soothing eye gel for 3 people, enough to do 1 satin lips, and 2 oil-free eye makeup removers. It shows percentages here for some reason. I'm not a big fan of that. If you can do the math in your head, that's fine. But it looks like a majority of people that did the test want the gel renewing mask. Actually, when I hover over that, it shows me that 3 people selected that. 1 person, if it'll hold still, selected the charcoal mask, and 1 person selected the facial peel. Come back up to the top, click on individual. Now it's just going to let me go through each individual response. So Karen did 1 of these. She was number 1. Susie did number 2. Heather, we'll look at Heather. So Heather was respondent number 3. She chose the Mint Bliss and the eye gel, and then the gel mask for that portion of the treatment. So that's the sort of information that you get once people start responding to you. So that's really all you need to know about Google Forms. I will try to go ahead and do something to add on here to show you how to get that link easily so that you can pass that on to your hostess, and she can then pass that on to her guest. I'm now going to use the form that I've created and send that in an email. So I'll go to the send button. Send via email, that's what's selected here. I'll type in the email address. Send it to our unit email address. Subject's already pre-filled, message is pre-filled. You can include the form embedded in the email. I prefer not to, totally a matter of personal preference. And we send the email. Since everything's going through Google to another Google or Gmail account, we can trust that that's gone where it needs to. You can go check your email and make sure that it's there. Next part of the tutorial will actually be done from my smartphone, showing you how to retrieve that email and access the form and then be able to share it with others. Now that I've shown you how to set up the form and send the form through email, I'm going to show you how I do it on a smartphone. And disclaimer right up front, even among Android devices from one manufacturer to the other, the operating systems can be different, so I can't guarantee that the way I do it on my phone is going to work exactly the same way on your phone. iPhones are another totally different story, so you may have to play around with it just a little bit to try to figure out how best to do it on your phone. So here's how I do it. In the previous section of the tutorial, I described how to just send an email to yourself. So I'm going to go to my Gmail account, and I see that I have an email from myself entitled The Mary Kay Beauty Experience. So I'm going to open that. And it says that I have a Google form. So I'm going to come down and select Fill Out Form. That will actually open the form for me. So there are a couple of options here. You can go to the upper right-hand corner of the screen, touch on the 3 dots that are lined up vertically, and share. So just from inside of this email where it's taking you to the form, you can just go ahead and share it with people. So I'm going to touch on share. And on my phone, it's going to give me all kinds of options here. It's going to allow me to do another Gmail, so I could put it into an email and send it to someone. I could share it on Facebook, and when you get into Facebook, it would allow you to put it into a group or on a page or whatever. Messages, it'll allow me to put it into a text. That's what I'm going to do in just a moment. And copy to clipboard, so I can just sort of have that stored. I think most everyone understands the concept of a clipboard, whether it's on a computer or on your phone. So there are all kinds of things, all kinds of different ways that I can send that. I'm going to choose messages. And it's going to open up a blank text message. You can see at the top here, I would put in the recipient. So if it's someone that's in your phone, just start typing their name. And then you see the body of the text down here. What we recently discovered is that some phones, depending on the length, the number of characters in a text, will split them up. And you can see that this is a fairly long one. It has a lot of numbers and letters in it as a part of that link to the Google Doc or the Google form. So you may want to consider sending two separate texts. For example, you may want to text someone to alert them that you're about to send a link. Or I can go into this part of the body of the text and start typing, "Hi, Susie. I'm a horrible texter. I'm sharing this form," whatever you want to say to your hostess, and have your message and the link all in one text. Just depends on how your phone handles this sort of thing. If you're trying it doesn't work, you can back up and try it a different way. And of course, I would have put in a recipient and then I just hit send. So I'm going to back out of that. Go back to the form. So that's how you can share directly from the form. The other thing that I really like to do, because the assumption is that you're going to do this more than once. If you book one beauty experience this week, hopefully you're going to book one or two next week and continue booking those. So rather than having to go through this process all the time, there's an easy way. You know, my phone may be different on yours, but there's a pretty easy way to be able to just store this. So again, I'm going to come back up here to the three dots thing. And this time, instead of share, I'm going to touch on add to home screen. So hopefully you can see that right there. Add to home screen. It's going to give me the option of changing the name of it. I'm going to leave the name as it is, the Mary Kay Beauty Experience, and touch add. Then I get a message saying Mary Kay Beauty Experience was added on home screen. Now, on my phone, I have multiple home screens. That's what I consider to be the main home screen. So I'm just going to scroll through and see where Google put that. It looks like it's way over here. So the Mary Kay Beauty Experience now shows up here. I'll touch on that. It's now stored on my phone, so I can access it without having to go back into my email account. Now I can do the share function again from here. So I would just come down to share. So instead of sharing it from email, I'm now sharing it just directly from my phone. So that's how it works on this particular device. Hopefully your device is going to be somewhat similar to that. Let us know if you have any questions.